You are right in time. And of course, this is Church of Uganda Family TV. Now, this show, just as a reminder, comes to you live every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. My name is Apollo Sabiiti. My friends call me Bito, and I always say it's a huge pleasure as well as a privilege having you on the show, knowing that you are tuned in, you are listening in, you are watching us from the other side. Now, in case you are a first timer, we have a window, we have a very, very kind slot for you. We're very, very happy and glad to have you on the show. Now, on this show, we bring you people, we bring you stories, or even both sometimes. Stories that we believe have a thing or two to ignite something that it can change or impact on your life. From the sheer sacrifices made to hit career paths to the relentless of business proprietors and owners, we bring you interesting people now. I'm very glad to be in the company of another amazing gentleman, a man who is highly placed, well learned. He also serves in the Church of Uganda. I am told, and this I got from reliable sources, he is a synod member in the diocese, North Kigezi Diocese, and his profile is quite lengthy. I will not dive into that. I think I will leave that to him. He will say hello to us, and then we will pick it up from there. Good evening.
Good evening, Apollo.
Yes, sir.
And good evening, viewers. I'm glad to be here this evening. I'm grateful to God for this great opportunity to come and be part of the program this evening. So thank you for having me this evening.
Huge pleasure it is. He is also a fellow of the Melvin Jones fellow Lions Club International member, but he also is a huge fan of golf. It's a pleasure having you on the show once again. And tonight we will be talking, our punchline tonight is the mind of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone who identifies market gaps, works tirelessly until that need in the market is met. But also you will want to remember that while this need is being met on the market, someone is actually profiting from it. That is an entrepreneur, and we're so privileged to have you on the show. But before we dive into that part where we hear your part of life as an entrepreneur, we would like to know who is this gentleman who is showing on our screens. Some are watching you from their living rooms, some are on the go, and probably some are somewhere resting. Who is this gentleman that we have here on the show tonight?
Thank you, Sabiiti, Apollo. The gentleman before us is Canon Absolom Nabisiima Bwesigye. I come from Rukunjiri district, Rujumbura county, Nyakajeme sub-county, and Rugando village in particular. Yeah, and I've lived in this village since my childhood up to now. So this is my cherished village. Canon Absolom.
Yes.
I'm very much linked to the church activities. Reason being, my parents served in the church all their life.
Wow.
My father served as a boy, became a man, married my mother from the church, his own church. My mother was picked from the congregation of my father. So they started and served for 33 years.
Wow.
And as children, we are a family of 9 members. Unfortunately, one of my brothers passed on. May his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
So now we are 8 of us that come from this family. And because of the church connection, I took it to another level. My commitment has been so pronounced that at another age, I got the opportunity to be crowned a canon in the Diocese of North Kigezi, because I hear and I feel it, and I know it was a genuine appointment, because I feel I've really given my life to service of the Church of Christ.
Sure enough, and I'm very sure many people who are watching us tonight will want to catch that other part of your ministry in church. But also, you mentioned something very interesting. At least I find it very interesting that on the show tonight, we have 2 people, one a host, the other a guest, who were raised under a priest's home. I'm also very glad to belong to that circle, and for that matter, may I please seize the moment to get a handshake from you, sir.
Hey, praise God.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, that is Canon Absolom Bwesigye, a man who hails from Rugando, a place somewhere in Rukunjiri. Is it the southwest?
Yes,
southwestern part of the country. Now, we would like to catch your story when it is tender. I like to say this to our dear hosts every time I have them here. We ask the question a lot of times these days, where exactly your story begins. And now I know you from Rugando, in Rujumbura, in Rukunjiri. It is a story of the R's. Rugando, Rujumbura, and then Rukunjiri. We're very glad to have you on the show once again.
Thank you.
And we would like to start from Rugando. Growing up, first of all, how do you recall your tender stages of life? Growing up as a priest's child, how did it feel? How were your earliest days of school?
Thank you, Apple. I think there are so many things that, of course, are running through my mind. Yeah, but of course now I know time is not on our side. I can't share each and everything. By God's help, I would think I would be led to pick on the most important things.
Absolutely.
Yes, as a child, growing up, I found my parents heavily involved in church. And so I became part of the church. I participated in choir. I participated in night angels. Do you know about night angels?
Oh, yes, I do.
I always looked forward
those amazing
Christmas
season. Those amazing voices just before midnight.
And
even after.
I did a lot of singing. End of year, we used to present every fast. Every fast of the new year would be having our presentations picked from schools, picked from different corners, and then would entertain people. But largely, I did a lot in church, singing. I tell you, hymn books. I almost know all the songs in my head.
Interesting.
And so, as a child, growing up from a priestly home, basically the kind of setting was, this is a typical peasantry, homestead. And I tell you that we are 9 of us. I'm the 6th born.
Wow.
In the family of 9. And I think I went to school latest in the whole family. I started school when I was 10. Surprisingly, when I look at my acting last born, Peter, is now 10. So when I look at Peter, when I look at Peter, Peter is now in P5.
But at Pilar's age,
me, I was looking after cows. Yeah, but then connectedly, the kind of attention I gave to cows, yes, made me to actually stay longer in this in this kind of, you know, assignment. Yes. Because my father liked it so much, to the point that actually I think when I was 9, he gave me as a gift 2 heifers to make sure that, to motivate me to keep into that line. Yeah, he actually, you know, took me aside and said, don't even bother about going to school. You know, after all these people going to school, this is the kind of investment they are looking for. So by the time they finish school, they find you with herds and herds of cattle. Yeah. So I looked forward to be like a Kalamajongo, to have as many thousands and thousands. I
would like to ask you, Canon, a question. Yeah. Do you sometimes have this conversation with Pilar? Do you tease him around and say, actually, whereas you're now 10, I was only beginning school when I was your age?
This is common knowledge in my family. Of course, now they laugh about it. Yeah. Yeah, but I tell you, just like, you know, as we move into our topic of today, yes, that helped me, you know, a lot. Looking after cows, now I can actually tell that what made me take long looking after cows was the kind of quality, the way I delivered on that assignment. And that has made me to, when I see what I do, as I will be sharing later, I find that it stems from that my father could not actually release me to go to school because he could not have a substitute of a herdsman in the family. And even people from outside, nobody could manage the kind of standard I set in looking after cows. And so, as a child, I later realized, I started school. Yeah. And while I was between P2 and P3, I started business. As a grown up, so to say, I started business. This is somebody who has gone to school late, and again, people all of a sudden realize that again you are interested in business. So this was a clear indication that I was not going to study.
They were already antennas speaking.
And the kind of family, you know, it was only through education that all our hopes, you know, are
hinged.
You know, people looked, you know, my elders treated education as the only investment that would save us. Yeah. Where it was a peasant kind of setting. Yeah. So you could only imagine the future, a bright future,
is only
through education.
The key, like I always said, the key was only one.
Now, this is Absolom, who has started school at 10 and at 12.
Barely 3 years into.
Yes, is seen into business. And at this point, before I go further, I want to appreciate my mother. Yeah. Because all other people had fears that I would not study. But my mother believed in me and supported me. And the business I started with was a business of grinding stones and pesos. I don't know, Apple, whether you know the grinding stones and pesos. Most families, of course now, I don't know, you know, could be a .com, you know, gentleman, so you are not conversant with some of these things. But us in Lugando and Rukunjiri, yes, especially, particularly in our area, you know, grinding millet had to be done on the grinding stone with the peso. Yeah. So that is the business I did. And so when I started it, my elder brothers, especially now Reverend Fene Muhwezi serves in Kabanyoro under Makerere.
Oh.
So, you know, and unlike Absolom, Fene started school when he was a toddler, because Fene came after two girls, the first born and the second born. So they actually, you know, they used to carry, I hear, he also has a story to tell always, that they used to take him, you know, they used to go along with his shorts. Then for him, he would go naked and got the shorts, in, you know, while they're in class already. So he was very young.
Very, very tender.
So these people, now at this time when I was 10, Fene, now Reverend, was in senior 3.
Wow.
Was in senior 3, so he could not afford to see now, you know, somebody following him, you know, failing to study.
Yeah.
So they were on me.
Yeah.
And even father really got concerned. But my mother supported me.
She had your back.
Yes. And so I would organize you know, grinding stones and pesos.
Yes.
You know, organize during the weekends. I had my village mates,
yeah,
who were actually not in school, and that was also now the cause, you know, the cause to worry. You are teaming up with people that are not in school, and these are your closest.
Yeah.
So I would organize the grinding stones while I'm looking after cattle, and then during the weekend would carry through homes. Then
selling. You're selling the flour?
No, selling grinding stones.
Oh,
and pesos. You have a stone, on top of it you have a peso, and then you move through homes.
This is now, first of all, to give you comfort, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking
Absolutely.
about. Absolutely.
And this is no light stone we are talking about here.
No. And by the way you are carrying it, you don't know who you know.
You don't know whether
who the buyer is,
or if you will
get a buyer. Because you are moving through homesteads. Do you need a peso? Do you need a grinding stone? When you are lucky, they take a grinding stone, then you remain with the peso. Then you also have to carry it through other homes. So that is the kind of business I started with.
Not an easy one at all.
Not an easy one. And for your information, this type of business led me later, because I appreciated it so much. I got to know the need. I got to know the challenges that were involved in it. And later
it paid off.
20 years later, I was the first person to construct and actually operate a processing plant. Machine processing plant of producing millet flour and maize flour in Rugando.
Now hold up, Canon Absolom. We're going to go for a very short break, and when we return, we'll be speaking about his very first business avenue. Please do stick with us.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
A very welcome back from that short commercial break. This is Ask the CEO. My name is Apollo Sabiiti, and you're watching Family TV, Church of Uganda Family TV. Now, to you, the DSTV viewers, welcome aboard. We're very glad to have you on the show. And tonight, I'm very privileged to be in the company of one Canon Absolom, a man who hails from Rukunjiri in a place called Rugando. Now, before we went for the break, he was telling us how he started out with his very first business avenue, selling the famous grinding stone. If you come from the West, I'm very sure you probably know what I'm talking about. Or even some people who actually do not necessarily come from the West. They must have crossed paths with this kind of thing. If you have some millet in the house, you have some sorghum in the house, and you want to make some porridge or bushera, and you do not have electricity, or even in your locality you don't have that grinding machine, then you would roll your sleeves, put your hands to work, and you can get some porridge.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So in this business, I learned very, very important principles that have helped me in the other businesses that I'm running now. Today. One important principle that I borrowed, that I picked from this business of selling grinding stones, because now there was an outcry. I'm going to fail to study, and my mother helped me. She said, no, you can do all.
You actually can.
And so I reached a point. I used to put the grinding stones. I would get the grinding stones, leave them in the bush, then
run to school.
Go to school, and we used to have a famous, up to now it is still on, Nyamayenje market in Rukunjiri.
Yeah.
It used to take place up to now on a Wednesday. So, and see, Wednesday, I was expected to be at school.
Yeah. But also, it is market day.
So it is market day, and I have grinding stones and pesos, and I must sell them. So, I had to make sure my business doesn't die.
Yeah.
And so I picked on some of these people that were not serious, serious in school. Some of them had actually given up. And so they became my partners. They would take the grinding stones and pesos in the
marketplace on Wednesday.
Yeah, but I tell you, I have to be honest that every Wednesday, whenever I would be having the business in Yamayenje, I would not be very comfortable at school because I want to know the proceeds. Yeah, then I would find a reason. And it would happen sometimes that then I would be sent. Sometimes I would be sent to go and buy rock salt for cows.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my mother would make sure that, she would go and package certain things to take me to the market to follow up on the business without the knowledge of my father and my other siblings.
Your brothers.
So I go to school.
Who were on your case.
Yes. Then I have permission officially to go to Nyamayenje in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy things for the home officially.
Yeah.
Then I go and check on my business.
Kill two birds with one stone.
I tell you, that made me to appreciate agency relationship, and that has made me to cherish partnerships and agents working relationships in business.
Yeah.
I now run agencies in so many businesses. I run agency banking with the Stanbic Bank. I run agency banking with Centenary Bank. I run agency banking. I run agencies and partnerships with most businesses. I have now international business with people that supply electrical materials. All this principle, to appreciate it and rely. You hear that, hey, people, you can't do business with other people, they will cheat you. Me, I have come to believe that they are trusted partners. Right from the time the appointed agents I used to handle my grinding stones. Now, I do very many businesses and I survive
concept.
On that concept. Two, now, graduating from that, I again appreciated that I actually when it came to P7, I was doing this, my business was running. In P7, I excelled. In the whole I was the best in the whole sub-county. And then I said, now that I can actually excel in class and I also do business,
Chiwede.
I don't need to. So that became
Chiwede.
That became part of me. I've done business while studying. When I joined Nakawa, I later, in my education career, first went to Nakawa Business School now, Makede Business School. I reached in Nakawa. The first businesses I did were producing t-shirts for different courses. I looked around. I visited Makerere.
Canon, which year is this?
This is, I'm talking of 1992.
Wow.
1992 to 1994. In Nakawa, I reached in Nakawa. I had a sister who follows me. She was in Makerere. I went for Kaim Fellowship. I think you know Kaim Fellowship.
Yeah.
And then I reached Makerere. I found my sister had put on a t-shirt. She was doing social work and social administration. So, and at the back of her t-shirt was a writing, social problem our concern. Social problem our concern. After the fellowship, when I reached that Nakawa,
yes,
you know, by then there was Ujir. Ujir was dealing with the producing t-shirts, and you know, it was dealing with cotton related, you know, materials. I went to Ujir. I got t-shirts. I got somebody to print and write different words. I produced t-shirts for people who are doing marketing, and at their back I put marketing our concern. I put, you know, those that were doing accounts, I put accountability our concern. Those that were doing, you know, stores management and logistics. I made money.
You customized.
I made money in t-shirts. The whole of first year in Nakawa.
You are the go-to. Today they use the phrase that you wear the plug.
So I did business in t-shirts. 1995, I joined Makerere. When I reached Makerere, I again picked on somebody who was doing 3 years, because for marketing in Nakawa used to take 3 years.
Yes.
I picked on a gentleman called Stanley. I got, this time I started now dealing in second-hand clothing, and I would take them at the railway line on the side of the railway line here at Mukwan in the evenings.
Just down here.
Yes, when I started it while I was at Nakawa. When I joined Makerere, 95. I'm doing a course at Nakawa. I was doing business. This was connected to the business I did in primary, because I thought I would do both.
Yeah.
And so when I joined Makerere, it was not easy to connect to, you know, industrial area here.
Yeah.
It was going to be expensive for me. So I picked on a gentleman who was doing marketing called Stanley, and he became my agent. The kind of principle I picked while selling grinding stones helped me to trust people. Up to now, I've told you, I run agency banking on that kind of arrangement. I supply electric poles,
PowerNet
under PowerNet through agents.
Yeah.
I do transport. I need to tell you that again, out of that, with the business mind, when I joined Makerere in second year,
Yeah.
I bought a car. I bought my first car in second year in Makerere.
And
by then I was working for UEB, because when I finished Nakawa, I got a job with UEB. So now I got some capital.
for the millennials who are probably struggling to get to terms with what this gentleman here is talking about, his name is Absolom. We call him Canon Absolom. At the time you are working with UEB, Uganda Electricity Board,
yes.
Before we had it split into UETCL, a language that probably many of the viewers will be more comfortable with.
Yes.
UETCL for the transmission, UEGCL for the generation, UEDCL for the distribution of power, and then UMEME. Previously we had one company, UEB, Uganda Electricity Board, yes, that did what the four companies are doing today. So you are an employee rather, at UEB.
Yes.
You get your first car. Which year is this?
97.
Wow.
97, I bought my first car. And the kind of business mind I had, because I was studying, I said I cannot have a car which I am just going to park.
Yeah.
So I started a special hire business with my first car, a Nissan UCN 662.
Those registration number plates cannot leave.
So
stuck in your head.
Very white. It was a white car, saloon car. I used to wash it, spotless, clean. Then I started special hire. And later, when I was out of school, when I was working again with the, after my first degree at Makerere, I was promoted. I became a manager.
Still with UEB?
With UEB, I became an area manager in Kabale. They posted me in Kabale. I was not yet married. And this time now I had money. I was a manager. I was not yet married. And this business, the special hire business that I picked from while I was at campus, helped me too. I bought a minibus. I had a minibus operating on the Kabale Mbara route while I worked as a manager of UEB in Kabale. But also, while at campus, also the proceeds I got from the special hire, I later realized there were, restaurants were mushrooming, were starting up, in all corners of Makerere. I went to Makerere West, below VET, Faculty of Veterinary. Chikumi.
The current,
I started a restaurant. I was running a restaurant. I was running a special hire. And later, the special hire turned into a minibus. And currently, as of now, I'm looking into logistics. The other day I concluded a deal with Tata Uganda. I'm going into trailers because of the history I have in transport, beginning with my Nissan saloon car.
Spotless white.
But again now, at my place of work,
Still with UEB?
Still with UEB.
In Kabale.
I didn't stop at only salary. I reached UEB after 1 year. I had joined a cooperative. UEB had a cooperative, and it had a principle that if you save for 6 months, they will double the savings and give you a loan. So I acquired my first loan in 1996 and bought a plot in Mutungo. Plot of land in Mutungo, I bought it 1.7. I got a loan of 1.2. I had saved 500,000. I got a loan of 100,000 from a friend, and I bought a first plot in Mutungo. 1997, and I bought 97. It 1.7 million. And that, from that point, that began a journey of real estates. So another business that I'm now engaged in is real estates. Starting from that 1.7, that plot in Mutungo of 1.7. Now I'm into real estates. I have into real estates in Kampala, in Mbarara, in Ntungamo, in Rukunjiri, my hometown. Yes, and I'm looking ahead. You know, I've been now visiting Dubai. I see there is a lot they're advertising real estate. I'm looking at a future where I would be in property management overseas when God allows. When God allows.
I have a question for you, Bwana. I'm here wondering, and probably one of the viewers is wondering, how are you able to keep or to maintain focus with all these arms, business avenues, with the level of supervision required? How are you able to keep track of all? They don't seem very few avenues. And yet, I would want to believe that they are equally demanding.
Yes.
Demanding in terms of time as a resource, financial resources, but also human resource. How do you expand? Do you have, you talked about partners earlier, how many employees do you have and stuff like that?
I actually don't usually, you know, have employees. I have partners. I do business based on partnerships. Like in PowerNet, I have 2 girls that are permanent. The rest, I get a job, I acquire people, we do the job. And after that, they
done and dusted.
Yes. I've tested different groups. When I deal with Apollo this year and you disappoint me, next year I'll pick on somebody else.
It's gone.
That is how I do business. And that is how I manage to do business. And I want to tell you that the agency relationship and partnerships have helped me to manage all these kind of businesses that I've been engaged in, that I also intend to engage in. For instance, when I got married, I found my mother-in-law was heavily involved in electrical materials.
Yeah, electrical supplies, yeah.
Yes. Apollo, I want to tell you, I think when I tell people, they will say, how can you do business with your mother-in-law? I tell you, I'm a partner. I have a partnership with my mother-in-law, yeah, that has really flourished.
Yes. Now, I would like to cut you short on that, and we will go for a very short break, and when we return, dear viewers, we will be diving into that little bit of how you're able to do things that other people look at as odd. Please do stick by. We'll be right back after the break.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
Yes, that is the goal, enriching lives. This is Church of Uganda Family TV, and you are watching Ask the CEO, a show that comes to you live every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. And my name is Apollo Sabiiti, your host. My friends call me Bito, and I always say it's always a pleasure, as well as a privilege, knowing that you are tuned in, you are watching us, you are stealing something from the show, you are carrying away a package, a nugget from the show, and something that may make your life better tomorrow. You will also remember that this show is powered by Young and Flourishing Foundation. And before we went for the break, this gentleman here was telling us how he has thrived in business because of partnerships. I would like to pose a question, even as we get into the last part of the show. What is that one thing? What is that package? If you were to package a message to someone who tonight is watching the show and is on the verge of making a decision on whether to partner with someone, because oftentimes I've had people crying foul, I've had people crying that, they are talking about how they feel they are exploited, and one day he wakes up in the morning being a partner, feeling exploited, runs away with half the capital that is running the business. How are you able to run these partnerships successfully?
I think the biggest strength I can talk of in managing partnerships, especially something that has worked for me.
Yes.
This is not to say that I have not had challenges. I have had challenges, and they keep helping me to polish up the relationships, agency relationships and partnerships.
Yeah.
Because you have people who are not trustworthy. Yes, they are there. You will know them, but those ones will be chopped off, and you deal with other people. But largely, I find that many people, the way I have managed is to make sure that people get value from the engagements in partnerships. I partner with you. First of all, I make sure that right from the start,
yes,
each one of us is comfortable with what they are going to share or benefit out of this partnership.
Yeah.
So it is not vague. So I do not deal with employees. I don't employ people from January to, no. I tell you, I have 2 members of staff that are permanent. And those are the people that I subscribe for NSSF together with
You are very kind.
my wife. We are the only 4 people that are permanent in PowerNet and other companies.
Yeah.
But the rest of the people are commission agents. I come, I negotiate a business with you, and we agree. Out of this business, you are taking 10%. And one thing I must do in this relationship is that even when the business goes bad, I will make sure this person who is supposed to take the smallest portion takes it, and I swallow the loss. And that has made me to move. That I will not come and claim that the business went bad and there is no money to share.
Yet actually, there was some little profit.
Even if it is not there, once the relationship is that I give you 10%. If it means borrowing, I will borrow and make sure this partner takes 10%. Because largely, I'll find that in the partnerships, in most cases, I take the lion's share. Somebody is taking 10%. I'm taking 90. If I've taken 93 times and we have made a loss on the 4th time, why should I again encroach on the 10%? So I have found that the partners I deal with, first of all, they are commission partners. They are not my employees. Yeah. Why partnerships fail? In most cases, that you have employees, they keep seeing you, buying properties, changing vehicles.
At least in their lenses, they see your path is
and employees, what employees see are only what comes in the company. They don't know the story of expenses.
Yeah.
They only count the money that they take to bank. The cashier will inform other people how much they have banked this month. The accountant will have the reports. So they will know that you take a lion's share. So even when you increase their salary, there is, after all, you should have even increased more.
Yeah.
They can never be satisfied. But if it is commission and partnership, and you have terms and conditions well stipulated,
then whatever happens
from the start, if people know their take, and it is a commission arrangement, and we finish a job and we share, this person goes. When there is another deal, if this person has been good in a relationship, then I will call them back. Sometimes they are the ones who call me, there is an opportunity here, but maybe I don't have capital, can you bring capital, and then we do this. And again,
sit down.
Then we sit down. It is Apollo's business. Now this time, instead of giving you 10, maybe you are taking 30 because I'm bringing in capital. And then we share. So this helps me now to do many businesses. And with very many people, currently, I can, Apple, I can, for the benefit of viewers,
yes.
I'm engaged in real estate. I'm now engaged in logistics, in transportation.
Supply chain.
I'm into coffee. I have a partner now in Rukunjiri. I'm not there, I'm here. I only check money which is banked. I have a processing plant of coffee in Rukunjiri.
Yeah.
I have actually, my partner is an illiterate, but he knows about coffee.
Yeah.
My family could be watching.
And they bear
and
you witness.
They know I have a person that I work with who doesn't know how to read and write. He's my partner.
At least.
But he's the one managing the coffee processing plant because he has knowledge and he has connections. But I am into business of coffee. This is now coffee season.
Yeah.
I'm in Kampala, but I'm earning from coffee. I'm the one who constructed the coffee processing plant. I bought him a car. We share that car, and we are, he buys coffee, he processes it. We have a person who banks the money, and then other people are also agents. They come, bring in coffee, we give them commission. You bring a truck, out of that truck there is a margin you take. So 2 years down the road, the coffee plant which started now in COVID.
Yes.
This time
that is very recent.
Yes. Now, people coming from Kanungu, coming from wherever, they are coming to our place because for us there is a commission that I put. Whoever brings in coffee, even if it is from his farm, he earns a commission on that coffee. So people have pulled all others. By yesterday, we had clocked 102 tons that we have milled since May, and the season is going to go up to October. 102 tons of coffee that has been milled on that coffee plant. Deep in the village in Rugando. You are talking of 400 kilometers away from Kampala.
To someone who is probably catching the last part of the show, this is Ask the CEO, a show that comes to you live every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. And I'm doing this, I mean repetition, for the emphasis, just for the benefit of viewers who are joining us for the very first time. And I'm speaking to people who are probably watching us on DSTV on channel 375. Welcome aboard. And our guest tonight is Canon Absolom. He's been telling us about the mind of an entrepreneur. Ever since, from the time we started the show and until now, a man who has done a number of businesses, and I believe he indeed has the moral authority to say to us a thing or two about business, because he has seen a thing or two in business. Now, you are still taking us down the list of the avenues that you actively involve yourself in today.
Yes. Apart from coffee processing,
yeah,
and apart from coffee processing, you know, I'm into agriculture.
You're a farmer.
I'm a farmer. I sell matoke. Matoke now in my farm in Rukunjiri. You know, people buy matoke almost the same price, like the price of Karerwe, because of the kind of matoke that I have. And I told you that skill, I picked it from looking after cattle.
When you set out to do something,
I do it, I give it my best. So into agriculture, I'm into matoke, I'm into tree planting. I left former employment in 2008. I left when I was a regional manager.
With
the Umeme this time.
Oh.
I left to UEB, went to UDCL, went to Umeme, and my background is business. I didn't talk about my business background, but I did business throughout. Diploma, degree, masters, all is business. But I tell you, by the time I left the utility company, I was heading Jinja region. To be in Jinja region where there is production of electricity, you had to be an electrical engineer. But because I think God, in his own ways, gave me wisdom that I could be trusted to head a region that hosts production, generation of electricity. To be in Jinja,
yet you are not.
To be a manager in Jinja, in the utility companies, you are at the level of top management. And this is Absolom heading a region of electricity, and my training is business.
Purely business.
So I left, I started, my first thing to do was to plant trees when I went into private. 2009 I started planting trees. Now the same trees helped me now to get a contract to supply electric poles. So I'm one of the leading now supplier of electric poles to Uganda Electricity Distribution Company, and that formerly employed me as a district manager and
a regional manager.
Yes, and now I'm working. I'm setting up a plant to treat. I'm going to be a competitor to Uganda Electricity Distribution Company that have been supplying poles, because I've realized that the kind of tech that I'm getting out of only supplying is not enough. So I want to be there.
To do a little more value addition.
So I have secured land on Southern Bypass in Mbarara. I'm now leveling the ground to set up a treatment plant.
It was always going to be an uphill task is a phrase that you will probably get used to. I like to say that just 1 hour of television airtime would never be enough for us to squeeze in this gentleman's whole story. We definitely will need a part 2, if you would be kind to allow us to do. But time isn't our best ally. We would like him to say one last shot that someone who probably caught the show in the evenings will run away with tonight, and then we will close at that.
Yes, I think it's been a pleasure coming, especially on Family TV, a TV that I cherish.
Yeah.
And especially again now to share about my story. There is a lot to share. Yeah, but one important thing is that if my success, I attribute my success to largely my family. I have a supportive wife. Josephine is very prayerful. I'm somebody, the way you have seen me, I do things so, I want to do things so quickly.
Yeah.
But Josephine had toned down my speed.
Yeah.
And I attribute each and everything to prayer.
Amen.
When I go into bidding, I don't submit my bid without praying for this bid.
You lay hands.
I pray for the bid. And because I harness prayer in my business, in the businesses that we do, I also do a lot of listening to my mother, now my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is a serious business lady. I have been surrounded by people that are very, 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 very important in my life. My mother, my mother-in-law, my wife, and now my children. Every business that we set out to do, I tell my children. Reason being, I want them to appreciate this. And actually now I have already seen people, among my children that are already interested in going into business now. All of them I know, now they are watching because I had to tell them that I will appear on Family TV tonight to talk about business. Yeah. So I attribute the success so far largely to God
and family. If you forget anything on the show, you will remember that God has been so instrumental in our guest's life thus far. But of course, family is also another huge plus. A very big thank you now on your behalf to your family who are probably watching us tonight. Thank you so much for being very supportive. And from myself, the host tonight, thank you so much for keeping us company from when we started out just after 8 p.m. That's 2000 hours East African time. And until now, we hope to catch you next week on the same show, on the same television, Church of Uganda Family TV, television that is focused on enriching lives. And with that, we say good night and see you next week.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV.